世释迦牟尼佛，南无观世音菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛。Respected Dharma Masters, fellow practitioners, and guests of this YouTube channel, welcome back to our Sutra study of the Infinite Life Sutra, or the larger Sutra of Amitabha. And specifically, we're talking about the vows of Dharmakara Bodhisattva, who was to become Buddha Amitabha. And we left on the fifth vow, and we will pick back up on vows 6 through 10 in this Dharma talk. And before I begin into the vows, I want to talk about something that is extremely important in the life of a Buddhist. And that is how to deal with the calamities of life. How to deal with anger. How to deal with sadness, loss, suffering. There's a very simple technique, if you will apply it. Any moment you have negative thoughts, you feel yourself becoming angry, or frustrated, or saddened, immediately try to realize those thoughts and change those thoughts into the Buddha's name. What do I mean by this? Your co-workers or your spouse, your children, a bill, any situation in this life that arises that causes you anxiety and gives rise to anger. Perhaps in the West, it is dealing with a non-Buddhist family member, and they are slandering the Buddha, or they're making fun of your faith tradition. Rather than becoming angry and retaliating back, which is only creating negative karma for yourself, smile internally and simply change those thoughts into the holy name Amitofo, 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 Amitofo. Change all of your thoughts into Amitofo. Indeed, Amitofo should be the very first thing that we think and the very last thing we think. When waking up, the first thing out of our mouth should be Amitofo. When retiring for bed, Amitofo. And perhaps reciting the name until you fall asleep, Amitofo. So that way the Buddha's name will always be with you. In your mind, on your lips, and in your heart. Everything changes into Amitofo. The most harmful, hateful, evil thought becomes the Buddha. Amitofo. In this way, you can constantly practice. And now let's jump into vows 6 through 10 in the larger sutra of Amitabha Buddha. As you remember from the last video, we left on vow 5, which Amitabha Buddha is vowing that anyone who is reborn into the Pure Land will have the ability to travel to innumerable Buddha worlds at the moment, by will, at a single thought. They'll be able to travel into innumerable Buddha worlds, and we discussed why that was important. Vow 6. O Bhagavat, if in that Buddha country of mine, the beings who are born there should not all be possessed of the recollection of their former births, so as at least to remember 100,000 yutas of kotis of kalpas, then may I not obtain the highest perfect knowledge of Buddhahood. Oftentimes in this life, especially in the West, people are interested in reincarnation, and they're interested in who was I in my former life. And really, in this Saha world, as a regular, ordinary human being, why would you need to know who you were in a past birth? So that you can remember past deeds? Well, can you remember the deeds that you committed 10 years ago? If you started from January 1st and worked your way through, can you remember every deed of every moment that you committed during that time frame? No, you cannot. So, with an ordinary human mind and an ordinary human thought process, it's not important to remember who we were or what we have done in the past. Simply know that in this life, all is karma. Everything good or bad that you suffer is because of past deeds, whether in this life or a past. It's not important to know the past in this birth, simply to recognize that all situations are a result of cause and effect. But Buddha Amitabha says that when we are born into the Pure Land, we will have full knowledge of all of our past births. And why is that important? Is it important because we recognize, oh my goodness, we've done this bad and this bad and this bad, and so happy I am, and so, wonderful it is that I am born in the Pure Land? No, that's not why. So that when you become a bodhisattva and ultimately the Buddha, you will be able to recall every action from your past life so that you may teach those that come to you as the Buddha. As a bodhisattva, you know everything that you have ever done in all past lives so that you can instruct sentient beings to not follow that path. It is not for your sake, but for the sake of all sentient beings, that Buddha Amitabha says that we will have full knowledge of all of our past deeds. So that when you become a bodhisattva, when you become the Buddha, you will know the relationship that we have all had with one another. Many times in the Sutra, Buddha Shakyamuni says, oh, in a former life, you were so-and-so, or in a former life, I was so-and-so. And that's extremely important for teaching the Dharma. You have to know your past births, all of your past births, so that you can instruct those that come to you for wisdom, that come to you to seek a way out of the cycle of birth and death. So that's why Buddha Amitabha tells us that when we're reborn into the Pure Land, we will remember all of our births. All of them. Vow number 7. O Bhagavat, if in that Buddha country of mine the beings who are born there should not all acquire the divine eye, so as at least to be able to see 100,000 yuddhas of kotis of worlds, then may I not obtain the highest perfect knowledge of Buddhahood. Why do you need the divine eye, and why would Dharmakara Bodhisattva make that vow? That when he becomes the Buddha Amitabha and creates this Pure Land, why would all of the residents of that Pure Land have the divine eye? Simply, my friends, for the same reason as in the previous vow. To know all of your past births so that you can teach, to have the divine eye so that you can see everything as it truly is, so that you can see everything as a Buddha. You can recognize what is illusionary, what is transitory, what is impermanent, and what is truth, so that you can see the Buddha nature within fellow human beings, fellow sentient beings, animals. so that you would have the eye, the divine eye of the Buddha. Prematurely to your enlightenment, premature to you becoming the Buddha, you have the divine eye in the Pure Land to see things as they are, to recognize good karmas, bad karmas, to recognize, and most importantly, the Buddha nature that is within all sentient beings. Because if you didn't have that ability in the Pure Land, the Pure Land would be just simply any other heavenly realm. It would not be an expedient method to enlightenment. You need these gifts that Amitabha Buddha says that all residents of the Pure Land will have, so that your process to Buddhahood is that much faster. You need the divine eye, because right now, as sentient beings, as ordinary people, I don't have the divine eye, you don't have the divine eye. You can't see everything for what it is. But in the Pure Land, the divine eye will instantaneously and automatically be a gift to us. Vow 8. O Bhagavat, if in that Buddha country of mine the beings who are born there should not all acquire the divine ear, so as at least to be able to hear at the same time the good law from 100,000 niyutas of kotis of Buddha countries, then may I not obtain highest perfect knowledge of Buddhahood. Do you see how these vows are building on one another? To be able to see things as they are, to be able to travel to all the Buddha lands, and now to be able to hear all dharmas simultaneously. To hear the good law, which is the Dharma, from 100,000 niyutas of kotis of Buddha lands. You will hear the Dharma being preached, not just from Amitabha, but all Buddhas throughout the 10 directions. You will instantaneously be able to hear the Dharma being preached and be able to process this knowledge. Again, why is this important? For the same reason that this grouping of vows follows a theme. These preliminary vows follow the theme that when you become reborn into the Pure Land, all of these powers, all of these gifts will be given to you for the expedient method of attaining enlightenment and becoming the Buddha yourself. And you need these powers as a bodhisattva and as a Buddha so that you can teach and you can preach and you can help sentient beings. You have to be able to hear the Dharma being preached throughout the 10 directions. You have to be able to see things as they are. You have to be able to travel at will from one Buddha country to another, to be able to offer offerings to the Buddhas of the 10 directions. Because as the Sutra tells us, all Buddhas throughout the 10 directions offer homage and praise to Buddha Amitabha and the residents of his Pure Land. So you have to have all of these things. When you're reborn in the Pure Land, it is not a simple matter of, I escaped the Saha world, I will never be having to suffer birth and death and continue the cycle. It's not just that. But Buddha Amitabha, when he made these vows, wanted to make it that from the moment of your birth into the Pure Land, you would have these powers to allow you to become the Buddha. Isn't that a wondrously beautiful, beautiful vow? Vow number 9. O Bhagavat, if in that Buddha country of mine, the beings who are born there should not all be skilled in the knowledge of the thoughts of other people, so as at least to be able to know the deeds and thoughts of beings belonging to 100,000 niyutas of kotis of Buddha countries, then may I not obtain the highest perfect knowledge of Buddhahood. Same theme. Same thing. So not only now can you see what is truly there to be seen, but you will be skilled in the knowledge and thoughts of all people in all of these Buddha lands. All Buddhas, all Bodhisattvas. And indeed, you will be skilled in the thoughts of ordinary men. Because you need to be skilled in the thoughts of ordinary men to be able to save ordinary men. All of these are leading up. And we're only 9 vows in. There's a total of 48 vows that Buddha Amitabha made. If we stopped right there, this would still be such a beautiful place. The Pure Land would be such a beautiful thing. But we would have no way of really getting there yet. And we will see in future vows why this is important. All of these are the little stepping stones on the way up to the road that leads to the Pure Land. And we will end with vow number 10 in this video. O Bhagavat, if in that Buddha country of mine the beings who are born there should form any idea of property, even with regard to their own body, then may I not obtain the highest perfect knowledge of Buddhahood. I don't think I need go into why that vow is so important. In this life, we think of ourselves as this. This is 是大心. This is me. No, this is an apartment that I live in. Your body is the apartment that you live in, but it is not you. The you that is at one, your true nature is Buddha nature. Your true place is as the Buddha. Defiled as we are, with evil karmas and sinful behavior, ultimately, we, each one of us, have that Buddha nature, that spark of Buddhahood in us. And to be able to see things as they are, to be able to hear things, hear the truth as it is, to be able to travel to all of the Buddha countries in the 10 directions, to know the thoughts of others. All of these things will help us once we attain birth in the Pure Land. And attaining birth in the Pure Land, the practice is exceedingly simple. The belief in the Pure Land and in Amitabha is extremely hard. Extremely hard to believe, exceedingly simple to practice. But even in that simplicity, you find that it's not as simple as you think. Amitofo, 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 Amitofo. And then I go and commit all of these horrible atrocities and not really care because I've said the Buddha name and I will attain birth in the Pure Land. No, 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 no. No, my friends, it does not work that way. You must guard your karma. You must guard your speech. We are all killers. We murder every day. And you say, Shifu, I haven't murdered anyone ever. I've never killed any creature. I've never hurt an animal. I've never killed a fellow human being. And I say to you, is that so? What about those horrible things that you wished on so-and-so? What about the cursing and the profane wishes, the evil wishes that you wished on this person that hurt your ego? What about the people in traffic who cut you off? and you wish horrible things to happen to them? Have you not murdered them? Have you not, just as simple as plunged the knife into their heart? Things to think about. Easy to practice, hard to believe. And sometimes hard to practice. When someone offends you or they make you angry, do you become angry? Or is your first thought, Hamitofo, and you forgive them and you suffer in silence the indignities that they commit upon you? Always remembering the Buddha name. Do I do this every day? No. Do I fail often? Yes. And I am a teacher of the Dharma. Each one of us fail. Exceedingly, we fail. Through our own faults and through our karma. So you say, oh, Shifu, then what's the point if I'm always going to fail? Practice is at the heart of becoming a Buddha and attaining liberation from all of this. So redouble your efforts. You hear me say this all the time. So you have failed multiple times today. You have allowed your evil thoughts and evil deeds and karmas to consume you today. Repent of that today and move forward. Tomorrow I won't get so angry. Tomorrow I will say the Buddha name for 20 minutes in a formal chanting session. Tomorrow I will do this and this better. I will study the sutras. I will chant more. I will offer incense more. I will be kinder to animals. I will be kinder to my fellow co-workers or family members, even if they are nasty and mean. Buddha Amitabha made these vows so that we can attain birth in the Pure Land. To become bodhisattvas, to become Buddha. But it's up to you and I to put the practice into practice. To have faith, make vows, and surely we will be reborn into the Pure Land. Amitofo. We will continue our Dharma talk with the next series of vows very soon. May Buddha bless each and every one of you, your families, give you perfect happiness and peace of mind. Amitofo.